IPMNation.com.
Live from the Transitional Radio Uplink in Cuenca, Ecuador, you're listening to All Natural Being with guest host Henry G. Noel. What's the G stand for? Giddy up on IPMNation.com. Here's Henry.
Possible for us to be broadcasting globally. I also thank our trusted listeners, for without you, this would be a rather quiet moment. And I appreciate those listening live on radio and those listening to our broadcasts. I also want to thank all the listeners who have been sending emails to me, and I greatly do appreciate those. Thank you. I also want to thank our fly on the wall video listeners. I do find it far more enjoyable having you participating in the thread and sharing your ideas. So to all of our global listeners from the United States, Canada, Mexico, the UK, and Ireland, our good friends right here in Ecuador, China, the Philippines, Belize, India, Australia, Germany, Italy, France, Nigeria, Turkey, Japan, Singapore, Thailand, Belgium, Sweden, Israel, South Africa, Egypt, Puerto Rico, Kenya, the Netherlands, Colombia, Peru, Greece, Poland, Cambodia, and New Zealand. I want to thank you for investing your valuable time with us. We realize that many options out there where you can spend your time. So thank you very much for spending it with us. Great to have you here. My name is Henry Noel. I'm guest hosting for the amazing and out of commission Brian Browdy. And I'm thrilled to be filling in for our virtual hitchhiker. So from our southern garden spot of the Mills, we want you to understand your life is your life. And you, regardless of what you think and believe, get to call all the shots. Now, why subjugate yourself to the words of others? You were dealt this hand, so why not play with all the gusto you can muster and play the way you want to play it? No one should have more control over your life than you. So why succumb to your critics? Why allow the beliefs of others to derail you from your all-natural being? Don't get caught up in all of the BS that others try to feed you. Use your primal scream to stand firm and proud, front and center, and don't place yourself on the back burner. That's why we're here, to be your friendly force, to place your heart's highest priority top of the list. Reinstating the true wisdom and wallop of your inner whisper to terminate the turbulence in your life, garnish the guilt you hold on to and won't let go of, and streamlining your sensibility so you can face this crazy world head on and out-brutal the brutal and bring their own bold. I'm trusting that everyone has had a good day, and I want to thank you for joining me this Tuesday evening. So before we stepping back and taking a good look at whether we are actually in control of our lives, or are we being fooled into believing we are in control of our lives? I will present a scenario that throws into the question, have we been enticed into living life solely for the greed, power, and control of others? And what this has done to the quality of our lives? Or is it just another conspiracy theory? I wish to thank you in advance for the comments in the thread, and I always prove a learning opportunity for me. That's exactly what these are for. So now, what do I want to do is I want to make a couple of announcements before we get really started into this. Now, you all heard of 2020. Well, they don't have anything on us. Tomorrow is 1010. And starting tomorrow, we will be broadcasting live on Transitional Radio at facebook.com/Transitional Radio Official. And I will be including that thread, that email or that website into the thread of tonight. So, and if my brother is really not too busy, maybe he'll add the link ahead of time for us so you can have it. But in either case, I'll place it with my topic post tomorrow morning, so you'll have it. And I also want to announce that Brian is doing a little better today. He strongly believes the shunt adjustments to reduce the amount of cerebral spinal fluid being drained from his head is the right direction. So, Brian, keep on keeping on, brother. We're looking forward to having you back. So now it's time to get into the thread and say hi to everybody, okay? So let's see who's on. Well, we got Rita, of course, and thank you. And Janelle, hi, how are you? And Shane, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Lee, hello there, man. Glad to see you. John, welcome tonight. Welcome. What we're going to be doing. Oh, Denise, I didn't even see you up there. Look at that. David Ray Bowman, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you having us here too. And don't hesitate to jump in. We're going to be talking about a little kind of a simplified formula that I put together for control as an example of how we think we're in control of our lives, that we're in charge. And so I put this little formula together to kind of do a comparison between the present day and what we're going through, and then what life was back from the 1900s into the 1940s, 1950s. But I also have references back in history to other times. So what I want to try to do is break this down into several different pieces so that we can talk about them as we go along. So I want to try to see what I can do about getting started here. So this is my simplified formula for control. And as I said, the setting is historical and ranging from way back in the nomads to right through the present. So let's just give it a go at this. So let's say hypothetically, I wanted to make a lot of money and have a lot of power and a lot of control. So how could I possibly do this? How could I get everyone to part with their hard-earned money and convince them they actually want to do this? So I begin by planning the next series of money-making schemes that I can come up with that will make me money. And then I'll tie that into adding power and control. So I decide that I can actually make a lot of money by lending money to people and charging a little interest on the money that they borrow, just for the convenience of having the money now. Now that sounds familiar, I'm sure, to everybody, okay? So I set up my storefront, and we'll call it for nothing less, we'll call it a bank, and begin to realize that nobody is borrowing any of my money. And I just don't understand that. People work, they're paid, but they spend exactly what they earn. They budget right to the penny. This much for food, this much for that car, this much for the house that they want to buy, this much for their next child that they so desperately want to have. No one is living outside their means. They have no wants or desires outside their earning capacity. Now, this really is not a good scenario for me. I want to make a lot of money, and I can't even get anybody in to borrow any. So what do we do? So I have to ponder this one. For me to get people to borrow money, I've got to actually get them to make some changes. Make changes to the way that they think, the way that they perceive, the way that they live. There's no way for me to make any money, much less gain power and control. So I decide for my scheme to work, I must make people want things outside of their earning capacity. So how do we do that? How is the process going to occur that we're going to attempt to try to do this for people? So what I do is I begin by meeting up with the manufacturers that creating the products that the consumers are buying. And I convince them that they could make a lot of money if they could sell more products. Well, they kind of look at me sort of stupid and say, well, yeah, no kidding. We can make more money if we sell more products. But the products that we make are built so well they'll need replacement. So together, we devise various methods on how to accomplish this. And one of the ways is to reduce the quality of the products so they break down sooner. Consequently, people will have to buy more of them. This is called planned or built-in obsolescence, and it's a matter of fact. Next, we devise a plan to get more people to know about their products. This is called advertising. So we focus the advertising around the need of us to have the product, and we pay well-known, respected people to endorse the product and convince everybody just how much they need the product, and more importantly, that they need it now. So this is how problem resolution solution comes about. And here's the steps that I'm going to use, okay? First, I'm going to create a problem that doesn't exist. Then I'm going to present a means for the resolution of the problem that doesn't exist. I then introduce the product or service that satisfies the resolution to the problem that doesn't exist. And then I plan built-in obsolescence guarantees the product or service will continue to sell so long as the problem that doesn't exist exists. And this is the process that every product uses and service uses to get you to buy. Now, if you don't believe me, then think about this. Your homes, are they paid for? Are your cars paid for? Do you use cash to buy your food, your clothes, your furniture, staple products? Or do you use credit cards? Do you pay cash for your education? Every product and service that we acquire makes me more money. And for every product and service I acquire, I used problem resolution solution to get you to acquire it. Now, I played on the desires and the wants for the best, the wants for it first, the wants for it now. Above all, I convince you, you deserve it, and even if you can't afford it. And additionally, problem resolution solution are used to create the economic, political, environmental, climate situations that we are facing worldwide today. The result of all this is I finally make money, lots of money, but nowhere the amount of money I want, and certainly not the power or control I want. So what do I do next? So I provide you loans. I make it so that you can come in and borrow money to acquire stuff, homes, cars, planes, dune buggies, even education. But I want to make it even easier for you to owe me money. And I'd like to increase my control over you, which should create the power that I'm seeking. So I provide you a credit card so that you can acquire things immediately. I also control your access to your credit cards by creating your credit rating. If you are in debt enough, I will give you a credit card. Too much debt, I'll cancel your credit cards until you pay them off, of course. And then, like good little children, I'll allow you to have another credit card so that you can go right back into debt. I'm even making it easier for you now to purchase stuff by creating the cashless system. All you need is this little chip inserted in your hand, and you can purchase stuff. Oh yeah, by the way, least I forget, it'll be through this chip that you get your wages paid. And you get to go to the movies, pay for dinner. You can even vote with this chip because it makes me more money, gives me more control over you and your life, and it begins to give me power. I have duped, played, and manipulated you into thinking that material things, convenience, and debt is normal, that it is wonderful and acceptable to live in a society free of responsibility, that there are no ramifications of living a life of want rather than need, that you can have all the external pleasures and that you can muster. And better yet, I even have my celebrities who are also under my control, convince you that you deserve it so that you can be just like them. By manipulating you every moment of every day, I get you to think, feel, and act on things I want you to, not what you are supposed to. And I have such a good distraction system, I can keep you from seeing what it is I'm doing by manipulating you. I can create fear, hate, envy, and with these, I can get you to do anything I wish. So let's talk about this for just a little bit. It's a very, like I said, it's a very, very simplistic process in trying to understand how we have gotten into the situation that we're in. Marcia, welcome. Good evening. How are you? And Wayne has been sending some messages out here. Okay. Anybody else? Let's see. Well, anyway, thank you. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you. And so here's the scenario. We live in a debt society. Yeah, there you go, John. I like that. Stop focusing on what can make you money. Start focusing on what can create value. Value is worth far more than money will ever be worth. And that is, there you go, John. Thank you. And so what we have is a debt-driven society that we are totally involved in. We absolutely see that it's necessary. This is the way it is. It's normal. Now, I remember my mom and dad having tin cans, little coffee cans, which they would place a little bit amount of money each week into the coffee cans as my dad was paid. And that was for food and for clothes. It was for the contingencies. It was for saving for a home. If my dad needed the car, it was to save for the car. And so this is how they did it. And everybody that I know did that that way. And so we just continue to process as much as you made, this is what you lived within. Then comes the debt-driven societies and the allowances for borrowing money. And into debt we go. So we can have it now, the gratification, the immediate gratification. And this is the situation that we have gotten ourselves placed into. And of course, that adds more stress onto us, obviously, because now we're in debt. We have to figure a way to pay it off. We're paying interest pretty much only, very little principal. And so here we have what we want, but we're in debt. Where before we didn't have what we want, we had what we needed, but we weren't in debt. It was a whole lot less stressful. And so this is the avenue which I saw it happening and how I go, which is why I started to incorporate that into the model that I was trying to set up to give an example of all of this. So if I continued on, so if you look at it, here I am, I now got society, making money, but let's look before that, way before that, way back when I was also trying to develop these same processes. So before I got into the picture, there were no borders for countries, and humanity lived and migrated as the seasons changed. So what did I do? I created borders to separate all of humanity into controllable little groups. And then I stir up these little groups on these bound borders, and I create conflicts between these borders. And these conflicts are the ones that you are willing to go and die and fight for. And I call this whole idea of borders, and that is, I call it national pride. I create national pride, and you're willing to die for that. I create an emblem for the national pride, and I call a flag. And I give every boundary area their own flag to wave and to protect and to die for. And I can get you to hate your neighbor because of simple differences, whether it be a religious or political affiliation, whether it's a color, sex, or sexual orientation, or even a language. And you will be so busy hating, you'll never realize you have more in common with your neighbor than you have differences. I can get you to destroy the family unit because you live in so much debt, you can't afford to be home with the children. I can get you so stressed and ill that you'll continue to take more of the very medications that are making you ill. I can convince you that the garbage you eat, that's not only food, but that it's even healthy for you. I can get you to sacrifice yourself and others just because I can. You think I'm wrong? Look at our lives. Look at the life of the families, our lives of our friends. And what do you see? This life that you and the others live were created for you. Well, actually, they were created for me because I'm making money, becoming wealth, and very powerful from all of this. So by allowing you to be manipulated, you open yourself to the biggest scam in history. Everyone in the world has been manipulated, and you would rather kill or die for the privilege of having been manipulated than to see the truth. Hey, Dallas, how are you? How's it going? It's good to see you on here. So any thoughts that come to mind, please don't hesitate. Put them in the thread because I would love to hear your opinions on it. You see, you really think that you're in control of your life. But in fact, I'm the one that's in control. You know, I can simply increase the amount of fear in you. And then by limiting the number of guns and ammunition available to you, you'll go into debt to buy guns and ammunition just for protection. You know, and it's sad because it's from this fear that doesn't even exist. I can limit the amount of gasoline, and the fear will get you in line for hours just to buy 10 gallons of gas at ridiculously inflated prices that I set. And there is no shortage of gasoline. I can manipulate you into believing there's a food shortage, and you'll do and pay anything to make sure that you have enough food. I can create fear, anger, want, and desire, and you will react as I plan. Resolution, also problem, resolution, solution. That is actually my holy trinity of control, the greatest trio in the existence to control and manipulate the way society thinks. Well, actually, it's next to my second holy trinity, which is greed, selfishness, and apathy, which I use to control society itself. The only way you can reclaim control of your life is to recognize what I'm doing. But I can keep you so distracted in so many different ways that you'll never have the time to realize what it is I'm actually doing. I can use my dynamic Holy Trinity to focus you on sports, sex, climate, disasters, cooking, entertainment, religion, politics, the royal family, or the celebrities. And I can bounce you between these, any of these, anytime I want. And I can create scandals that will keep you so distracted for weeks. I can use these distractions to create environmental issues and climate problems without you ever knowing what I was up to. I can pass political policies you never knew were being planned. I can start a conflict anywhere in the world without your knowledge. And at a moment's notice, you or a loved one is there fighting and dying for something you had no idea existed. Once completed, I can then present the success of all these endeavors, even if they failed, and you will be so proud of it. You will welcome the news with open arms, never knowing that I just happened to make a lot of money. It doesn't matter whether September 11, 2001 was the result of Islamic extremists, the United States government, or Mickey Mouse. It doesn't matter whether North Korea threatens us with nukes. It doesn't matter how many people die in Syria, Palestine, or Africa. It doesn't matter why we were in Vietnam. It doesn't matter who allowed Hitler to rise to power. It doesn't matter that AT&T was once a monopoly, completely broken up into pieces, and now it's a monopoly again. It doesn't matter how many children, are victims of pedophilia. What does matter are the results. What happened as a result? Who benefited as a result? What will be the next distraction that I can get away with? And how much wealth and power and control did I accumulate through all of these issues? That's what is important. You see, this is the state of the world. This is who we are. This is also why we are. Every day the world seems to get crazier and crazier, and the moment we think it couldn't get any worse, it does. By sticking our heads in the sand and pretending this is not occurring, we facilitate this very scenario. By buying into this illusion, we are creating this world and all its craziness. By doing nothing, we are fostering our own demise. Life will be determined by those who play and manipulate us unless we are willing to change. Change the way we think, act, and believe. Now, praying to God or blaming God is not going to help us because God didn't do this. We did. You did. We let ourselves run rampant because we were benefiting. At least we thought we were benefiting. Now we know better. And now we must decide whether we continue to play the game and be constantly on the hook or walk away from the game, take control of our existence, and take a vacation. Now it's up to you. This is your expedition. This is your life. This is what you have to do. Like I said, this is simply my formula for control. This is just an example to show you just how we can be so well manipulated into doing things and believing things and reacting to things that we really shouldn't be reacting and doing to. We have to change our thinking, and we have to change our actions, because manipulated and maneuvered, distracted, and deceived every moment of the day. And that is part of what I want everybody to see. All of this stuff going on with when Kavanaugh was going through his interviews. All of the theatrics, all of the games, all of the money that is spent on this facade, this illusion, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We can get upset. We can get angry. We can do all the things that we feel we should do. And it doesn't matter. In the end, it doesn't matter. Because what is going to occur is going to occur because it has been planned that way. And we don't see it. Instead of holding our politicians accountable, we don't have a clue what they spend money on. We have no idea when they're off to Europe or off to someplace on vacation. We have no idea when they come back into their home of their constituents. We're clueless. And the problem is we don't care. We simply don't care. And that is what's leading us down this path. That's what we need to change. That is the object of our lesson of what we're trying to do. So, in more of a conclusion on this subject, it's important for you to really learn and understand we are being so manipulated, and it is really frustrating to see it continue. And it's in every aspect of our lives. That's the problem. Everything that we do is justified for us. We justify it for ourselves. If we don't stop it, it's never going to stop. If we don't admit it's happening, it'll never get recognized. We have to really look in the mirror and say, is this the way we really want our lives? Do we want to be living under these stresses? Is this what it's all about? I mean, is this what life is all about? Is this the short existence that we have here? Is this how we're supposed to live our life? Under hate and fear and stress and illness? I don't think so. I don't think that's why we were placed here. I don't think that's why we are here. I think that's what has happened to us since we are here, but that was never the intention. And the people that are in power, the people that are doing this to us, those are the ones that are in control of us, know they're in control of us, know they can manipulate us, know they can lie to us, and we don't even recognize it. So the game or not, there's a game going on, and And that's why I say, when we look outside, you touch a tree, is this reality? Yeah, well, probably the tree is there. Yes, it's a reality. But is this life that we're living a reality, or is it just an illusion? We think we're in control. We budget our money so that we can make sure that we pay our credit cards off and we pay the loan payments and we do all of these things. Are we really in control? I don't think so. I really don't believe we are. I think they give us a semblance of control. They deceive us into allowing us to believe we're in control. But we're not. Absolutely not. And I think that that's really what we have to deal with. And we better wake up. We have to wake up to all of this. Let's see. Yep, Lee and Denise is there. Hello, Denise. How are you? That is so cool. So anyway, your thoughts. Are we close with this, or is it something that is just, like I said, another conspiracy theory? You be the judge of it. You let me know what you think, because that's the only way that this works is to get your thoughts. It's one thing for me to sit here and just kind of preach to you, but I prefer it the other way. I prefer having a two-way conversations and being able to deal with the things that need to be done. So if things are getting, hi Candace, how are you? Good evening, welcome, thank you for joining. And do you see any attempts or any ways that we can end this, that this can actually stop? Now, granted, you can only answer on your point of view. Do I see this stopping? Not really. I mean, because there's so many people wrapped up in this. But if we can get the word out, if we can get people to understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, it then becomes the decision on their part to take control of the wants and desires and focus on the needs. We can't make them do that, but we can present the data so that they can do that. And that is all I'm asking is to think about it, ponder what's being said, see if it actually fits in what today's society is all about and how it has progressed to where it is, and see what you think. Like I said, I've stated my point. This is my whole system of how I believe we are being manipulated. And so, I welcome your thoughts. I welcome everything that you have to say. Let's see. What's this? You can't rationalize the crazy. Yeah, it is difficult, isn't it? But one by one, out of the crazy, people are starting to open in their eyes. They're starting to wake up. They're starting to realize, wow, there's got to be a better way. And they're seeking it out. They are checking things out. They're starting to investigate. And from that is how I'm hoping that this will actually get taken care of. Alice, hi, how are you? Yes, you are hitting the nail on the head. Thank you. My son has been telling me all of this for years. Thank you. I thank you very much, Alice. I greatly appreciate that. It is so hard. I watched my parents scrimp and save and place money aside, and they worked so hard to make sure that everything was managed correctly and that everything was done correctly. And to see it now morph into a world like this, where I don't even know what the correct numbers are anymore, but with a $20 trillion debt just in the United States, and well, when you throw in pension plans and retirement programs, you're talking probably $220 trillion worth of debt. That's an awful lot of money for every single person, for every single taxpayer to be responsible for. I mean, and understand the way the country is set up, the way that the government is set up. And if the government defaults, if the government stops paying, we are on the hook for it all. We're it. This is where they got to come to, is each of us. So government, and sitting back and not doing anything about that, just not holding representatives responsible, is not the answer. We may as well stick our head in the sand and just not even just make believe it doesn't exist. Because our bottom line, we are all going to be held responsible for it all if it doesn't get taken care of, and they just keep spending. Candace, I was listening to a comment today about a list of a spouse. Let's see what a spouse gave another that they had to do for the day, and related it back to the control of who made the most money. And yeah, very sad. That is, yeah, I've seen something like that where a husband's talking about how he's the breadwinner, he's making all the money, and the wife finally says, "Well, you know what? If you paid for all of the services that I'm doing for you, yeah, I remember seeing something like that." Denise, I agree with what you're saying, but it's frightening. But it is frightening that so many don't get it. Exactly, Denise. That's why I'm saying it. I'm hoping that people will start to hear this, because the only way it can even attempt to stop is if people start to get involved in it, if they start to realize what's going on, and then stop the practices that we do. Stop doing the things that get us in debt. Stop believing. I mean, it's so much fun. I used to listen to, "Hi, Jenny, how are you? Good evening. Thank you for tuning in." One of the things I remember, I used to, when I was working in the States and I was paying my taxes, I would make sure that I had everything set up so that by the end of the year, I actually got nothing back, that I was actually broke even with the government, and or I had to pay just a little bit. And the philosophy behind paying a bunch of taxes up front, as you go along, so that you can get a refund in the back, and not having benefited from being able to save that yourself and to invest it and to make money from that. The government's doing that, and so it floors me that is the norm. I mean, that has actually become the norm. Rita says, "Is there a way to present all of this ideology going on to people in a way they can understand it without alienating our friends and family?" Wow, good question. And I'm going to have, let's see if we can get some answers off the thread. I think that's a great question, Rita. And I'd like to see if people have an answer for that. All of this will affect our kids and grandkids more so than us. Very scary what they will have to face. Oh, absolutely. And it will be far worse by the time our grandkids become adults, Candace, because it is so out of control. I mean, the level of debt that we are in climbs, I mean, so fast. It's not even fathomable anymore. I mean, you just you keep adding zeros to numbers, and it becomes monopoly money. It becomes almost fake, that it doesn't mean anything. You can print all the money you want, but if one place, one government, one company says, "I'm not going to accept your dollar," then the dominoes start to fall. So it's not that this is not going to affect us. It totally affects us, and it totally is responsible because of us. We have been, like I said, manipulated, duped into believing we can want and want and want and have and have and have, and we can have it right now, and that is fine. And there's no ramifications for it. There's no responsibility for it. This is just the way that life is. We can do this. That's not a problem. Nobody can tell me I can't do that. I'm an American. Well, at some point in time, somebody's going to come tell you can't do that. And everybody's going to be all upset about it. So yeah, it's horrible, the condition of the world that we are leaving to our kids and our grandkids. We cannot sustain this. We just can't. And somebody has to draw a line in the sand. And I'm trying to do that by educating. I'm trying to do that by putting a message out there to take a good look at what we do, how we live our life, how we perceive things. and realize why it isn't good, why it isn't healthy, why it is wrong that we continue to do this. So anyway, we're going to probably wind down here about 1:45, so we got another couple of minutes. Yeah, you're right, Candace. It can throw everything, the total. It can throw the whole balance off. And it's literally falling that way now. The amount of debt, the amount of money wrapped up in all of this is horrendously large, the number of zeros. And yet we don't see the damage that this is causing. So I'm hoping that you all got something out of this. I really do. I'm hoping that that it made some sense. Like I said, it was a simplistic model to show how we are actually being controlled. Even though we think we're in control, we're actually being controlled, and we have been manipulated into this whole line of thinking that debt is the way that we're supposed to live our lives, and that stress and illness is normal and it's acceptable. Because I will tell you what, to me, it is not acceptable, and I refuse to do that. So again, thank you. I would thank you very much for tuning in and for listening. John, what you said? Take action. Yep. Let me get the cursor out of the way. Take action and be that which we seek. Teach by example. Have the hard conversations. Thank you. Absolutely. You're very welcome, Denise. My pleasure. My pleasure. And again, thank you, John. I absolutely agree. We have to do this. If we don't make the decision to do it, it's going to get made for us. And we're not going to like it. We are not going to like the results. And it's not a fear thing. It's not a thing to try to throw more gasoline on the fire. I'm simply saying, take control of your life. You don't have it right now, so take control of it. Realize what we're doing and that we are simply marching to their drummer. If we want to really march, let's march to our own drummer, because this one is just not working. So again, I want to thank everybody. I appreciate all of your comments. I appreciate you tuning in. I thank you so much for sharing your time. I know you have a lot of other choices you could have made instead of spending time here. Thank you for selecting this. I really appreciate you joining in. So thank you so much. And again, I hope you have a great evening. I will post tomorrow's talk in the morning, and the link. Thank you very much, Rita, for putting on the link. We will be broadcasting tomorrow live at 10:10 on Facebook.com/Transitional Radio Official, and that will be where we go. So again, please have a great evening, everybody. Have questions or you have comments and you didn't get them down on the thread, or you really do want to get into the subject a little bit deeper, email me, please. Henry@henrygnoel.com. Very simple. So please have a great evening, everybody. I look forward to talking at you tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to your comments coming back. So again, thank you very much. Have a great evening, everybody. Good night.
IPMNation.com.